Hey guys, welcome back to the Pulling Curls podcast. Today we are talking about fear. I had a super huge fear of flying and I slowly started to get over it. Let's untangle it. Erickson, the curly head behind the Pulling Curls podcast, where we untangle pregnancy, parenting, home, and even travel. We know there's no right answer for every family, but hopefully we can spark some ideas that will work for yours. Life's tangled, just like my hair. Okay, guys, before we get started, now is the time to subscribe. It's 100% free. You know, there's those podcasts that charge you. That's not me. Just subscribe. Thanks. Okay, now when I say was afraid of flying, I will say that when we came back to flying post-COVID, I noticed that a lot of these fears came back, but pretty quickly, they all were diminished from where they were initially. So I had a huge fear of flying. That's clearly what this episode is on. I wasn't a great flyer, and then my uncle died in a plane crash, and then I really was not a good flyer. Every time we would hit turbulence, I would feel like, I wonder if this is how he felt when he went down, yada, yada, right? And a lot of people are like, well, this is the safest way to travel. And in my mind, I'm like, I don't know anyone that's died in a plane crash, but I do know, or a car crash, but I do know somebody that's died in a plane crash. So your logic is not helping me at all. Right? So today I wanted to share some of the things about flying to maybe give you guys some help if a fear of flying is something that you have, or this might also help you conquer a fear that you do have, because I think we all have fears, and the more that we're open about them, the more we can realize that we can conquer these things and kind of move on. So first thing I did is I did it frequently. For a while, I was flying probably every month or so to different conferences or events, or my mom broke her leg, so I flew to Utah 3 or 4 times. And so I just did it a lot, and it was uncomfortable frequently. I had a year where I had several flights get canceled or postponed, and I realized that a lot of my fear of flying actually centered around not having control over my travel options, right? So I didn't have any control over them canceling my flight, or one time we couldn't land in Austin and we had to get rerouted to Midland, and then we flew to Austin. But, the whole time I'm just worried that I'm not going to land in the place that I'm supposed to, and I don't have any control. I'm sure that a lot of fears surround a lack of control, right? And so I realized that I just kind of needed to let go of things. And I also realized that a lot of life's problems can be fixed with your credit card. And, I would be so worried that everything was in my suitcase and I wasn't missing everything. I was bringing everything that I needed, but I slowly realized that there were 5 things that I really couldn't do without, which are my contacts, which I have 4 pairs of contacts stuffed into various, and my glasses, which I try and really be careful that they're always in my toiletry bag, and I always bring my toiletry bag. Obviously, my credit cards, my ID. So there really were very few things that if I had a credit card, I couldn't just go to the store and buy and resolve these problems fairly quickly. So I think that really helped, also realizing that even though I didn't have control, I did have control over that credit card, and I could buy the things that I needed if it came to that point. I also really realized that giving myself leeway really helped. So making sure that I was to the airport on time, and my husband's been really supportive of that we get to the airport on time, and, I'm not immediately having to hit deadlines as soon as I hit the ground. Although I will say that as my fear of flying has lessened, I am at the point where I hit the ground, I take an Uber, and I'm in the meeting or whatever, and I'm able to tolerate those quick changes of pace. I don't know how you would say it, but I'm able to tolerate all those things a little bit differently. Also, one thing that has really helped is buying a few products that really assisted me in easy travel. One thing I love is a suitcase with 4 wheels so that I can just wheel it along rather than feeling like my shoulder's going to fall off as I drag it through the airport, especially if it's carpeted. I also have a great bag that can go under the seat. I have it organized in a great way that I can access the things that I need. These types of things have really helped my fear of flying. I know it sounds kind of stupid, but having the things that I need, making sure that the things are close to me and that I have an extra cell phone charger, just preparing in advance and having these different things have really helped make me feel more comfortable as I fly. And actually, if you guys listen to my therapy appointment, my therapist actually gave me a meditation that I can listen to. It's just on my Google Drive, so I can pull it up whenever, and I can listen to it while I'm flying. She talks about how safe air travel is and just basically brings you back to the reality that air travel really is safe. And I will say, when we were on our cruise, I noticed that I feel motions that other people do not notice. So as we were on the cruise, I felt every time that room went up and down. And I would lay in the bed with my husband and I would be like, do you feel like waves right now? And he'd be like, no, it's steady. And I'm like, oh no, we're going up and down. And I feel like maybe I have extra hairs in my ear. I don't know, but I feel like I feel more up and down than normal people do. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm hallucinating that. But as I laid on the bed in the ship, I was kind of like, this is a lot of what I feel when I'm on the plane. And I'm not afraid on the cruise ship that we're having waves because I know waves are part of the ocean. And so now when I'm in the air and we have small turbulences, I think I don't need to be afraid of that because these are the waves of the air, right? These are things I tell myself so that I don't feel as uncomfortable. Also, I have really made it a priority to download things that I love from Netflix to listen to at takeoff and landing if necessary. So takeoff is definitely my worst time, which is interesting. My uncle did not die on takeoff, but I feel like that motion of going up in the air is something really unsettling to me. And also like when the plane goes down quickly as they're like getting to their altitude or whatever they're doing, that is the point where I'm like, this is how he died. This is how. Anyway, so I love Call the Midwife. I download an episode or two every time from Netflix, and it has really helped me. I actually now, when I watch Call the Midwife in IRL, real life, and the music comes on, I think about flying because I've listened to that music so much while I take off. Isn't that funny? But anyway, just having something that I'm super engaged with and I really like and associating with flying has helped me. Other things, and I've tried to look for like new things too on Netflix that have really helped me too. And I love it when I fly an airline that has TV. Like there was an episode of Ted Lasso that I could watch on one of my flights, and that just made me so happy. I love that show so much. Have you guys watched Ted Lasso? It's the best. So those are some things that I have done to help me with flying. I will say, as I've watched people fly now that during COVID, they aren't allowing liquor on the airplanes or alcoholic beverages. I feel like a lot of people had super huge fears of flying, but they tamped them down with alcohol. And because I don't drink, I didn't have any of those. So I kind of had to confront them and just deal with them, or I felt all of that anxiety. And so that has helped a lot also. That's getting rid of my fear of flying. I think, honestly, it's a fear of travel in general for me. Just the lack of control, not knowing where I am, possibly not having transportation. The more I have done it, the more I feel better with, the more I remind myself that if I get in a jam, there's always an Uber or a way to get out of it. Again, you just use your credit card. It's not that huge of a deal. So that's how I got rid of my fear of flying. If you guys have any tips, I'd love to meet you over on Instagram. You guys can tell me in the post that's for this episode. I have a whole Instagram called Pulling Curls Instagram. It's just pulling_curls. Although I'm trying to fix that. Hoping to get my trademark soon so I can take that underscore off. So maybe by the time this podcast airs, it'll just be Pulling Curls. Anyway, find me on there. Tell me how you got rid of any fear of flying, or honestly, any fears that you have. I think it's so interesting to see how we're able to confront the demons that we have in our head and move on. Do not miss next week's episode. I have a chiropractor coming on talking all about chiropractic care in pregnancy and also chiropractic care after the baby, like if your baby's 12. I found some good tips on there too, so don't miss it. Thanks so much for joining us on today's episode. We know you have lots of options for your ears, and we are glad that you chose us. We drop episodes weekly, and until next time, we hope you have a tangle-free day.